Mr. Nehls.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Rosenberg, you've heard just about every member here express their condolences for the loss of your son back in 2010. I feel your pain here. I just want you to know that tomorrow, this week, I will be reintroducing the Justice for Angel Families Act, and that legislation would amend the Crime Victims Fund to expand funds to angel families who are victims of homicide by an illegal immigrant. And I think Ms. Jackson-Lee just expressed her sorrow to you and the pain. So I'm hoping that I can get some bipartisan support on that to help victims, individuals that have been murdered as a result of activities from illegal aliens. So hopefully we can get some bipartisan support on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Fabricatore, thank you for being here. The shocking decline in enforcement activity, my friend, at our southern border, must be sickening to a guy like you, a ICE enforcement removal officer like yourself. I can't imagine how you feel having dedicated your entire career to enforcement of U.S. immigration laws and then seeing what's happening today. I want to talk about some of the arrest numbers that we see behind me on this chart. They were pulled from ICE's own data. Before we get into that, I just want to let you know you talked about detainers, ICE detainers. I was a sheriff for 8 years. I was in it for almost 30. As a sheriff, I complied with every single ICE detainer that ever came through my office. And now we had a few that didn't, and Texas created a law that stated that if a sheriff does not comply with a detainer from ICE, that they could potentially be removed from office, and I support that. So hopefully sheriffs have straightened themselves out a little bit and they comply with every single ICE detainer. Can you explain why the number in arrests have dropped so drastically over the last couple of years?
Well, I think there are definitely a lot of different reasons. One, the priority is for sure, but also because of what's happening at the border moves into the interior. Sure. So every single state is now a border state. And ICE officers are now having to process those cases from the border at their ICE offices. So instead of being on the street making these arrests, they're forced to stay in the office and just process cases. Got it.
My time as sheriff, I ran for Congress because I was just disgusted what took place at the southern border. I'm going to highlight a few of the cases that I had. I had 6 undocumented immigrants burglarized 70 homes. 6 of them, they were undocumented. They were in Fort Bend County. They were in Brazoria County. We arrested 6 of them. All of them had entered the U.S. illegally. They were from Honduras and Mexico. What's interesting is that when they burglarized a home, you know who they targeted? They targeted Indian, Asian, and Middle Eastern communities. Think about that now. They targeted the minority migrant communities. They stole high-end jewelry. They stole money. January 26, 2017, we arrested 17 individuals. They were from Colombia. 120 break-ins. Again, stole jewelry, purses. Working with HPD, Sheila, we were working with HPD. Worked very, very hard. One of the individuals, this bad hombre, he was actually deported in 2014 and had ties to terrorism. He had terrorist ties to the FARC, which is a terrorist group coming out of Colombia. A lot of these guys have been deported more than one time, yet they continue to find their way back here to commit more crime. 3 of them had been previously deported. And this guy, I've highlighted him before. This gentleman killed a senior lady in my county, and he's from Honduras. And let's take it. So he's been deported 6 previous times. So we talked earlier, that we're going to talk about what's happening inside the country, right? But when you're in the country and you commit a crime and you're deported, how do you get back here so quickly? This guy came back December 2001, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. They're back within several months, this guy, and he killed. So we have serious issues. Mr. Batista, I just want to kind of talk. I know Representative Nadler brought up to you about this white supremacist or nationalist or something, the domestic terrorist that killed individuals, shot and killed. It is horrible what happened. And he asked you, how has that affected the Mexican community? And what was your answer? Did you say they're kind of going underground, do you believe? They're scared as a result?
Chairman McClintock, Mr. Nehls, that's correct.
Okay. Well, how do you think the communities the Asians and the Pakistanis and the Middle Eastern communities feel when their homes are being burglarized, they steal all their family heirlooms, right? They're here trying to live and try to come here legally, and then they are victims of crime by these illegal alien criminals. How do you think they feel? What should they feel? You're a sheriff or old lawman.
I think, Mr. Nehls, I think we should all be outraged by any criminal
Mr.
activity.
Batista, they're madder than hell. They're madder than hell. And it requires guys like me and others to put these individuals, and it's the federal government's responsibility to keep them out of our country. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Ms.